Bonjour everybody, this is Amirash. I hope that you're doing good and you're staying very healthy and happy. So today's session is going to be the most awaited session, that is Le Temps Convenable, that means tenses in French. Today we'll be discussing all the tenses in French of CBSE Class 10. So this is the French crash course that is going on, and please attend all the sessions so that you can get full marks and you will be able to ace your class 10 French term 2 board exam. Right, so we'll be doing Let's Talk Convenable session 1 today, past, present and future tenses. So let's understand what are we exactly going to do in today's session. These are the 5 topics that I have taken from the chapter tenses, from this particular grammar topic, and you know that it is a compulsory question of 5 marks. So it is very important for us to focus on this particular topic because this can give you 5 important marks. So present tenses, past tenses, future tenses, miscellaneous problems and PYQs. These are going to be the topics, out of which we'll be doing 3 in today's session and 2 in the next session. That's just Convenable part 2. This is the part 1, right? So we will be doing present tenses today, past tenses, future tenses. So this is the theoretical lesson. In this we'll be revising the theory. In the next session we'll be doing the questions. So I would suggest this session is for the revision of all the tenses that we have in our class 10 French, and the next session is going to be the practice questions, and also I'll be including PYQs in that have been asked from the year 2015 to 2020, right, along with some other miscellaneous problems. So here you can see there is a timeline, right? This timeline will be discussed at the end of the video when we'll be done with all types of tenses. So you can take a snapshot of it, and also one more important thing, that you can download the PDF of this session from the description box right away. Okay, the entire PDF is given to you in the description box. Starting with the first tense, that is le présent. Présent means the present tense, friends. Okay, now what is le présent? So everybody concentrate over here. The present tense in French grammar, le présent, corresponds to the English simple present. In English, simple present tense means what you're doing right now or what you generally do. It talks about facts, current situations, repeated actions in the present. Whatever is taking place in the present is what is le présent, as well as scheduled future actions, right? We are going to do this, right? So in that case, we use le présent. To conjugate a verb in the French present tense, we add specific endings to the infinitive of the verb, okay, depending on whether it ends with er, ir or re. So in present tense, we have 3 types of verbs, as you know, er ending, ir ending or re ending verbs, right? And all the 3 have different conjugations with all the subject pronouns. Starting with conjugation number 1, that is er ending. The verb that we've taken is parler. So parler means to speak, and let's understand how we can conjugate it with all the pronouns. Number 1 thing, for conjugating a verb in present tense, we remove er, ir or re. So the first step that you have to take is removing this er. Oh, this color is not visible, I guess. Yeah. Okay, you have removed your er. Now whatever is left is going to be termed as your stem. So PARL is left. This is your stem. Now, depending upon the subject pronoun like je, tu, il, elle, nous, vous, il, elle, plural, you are going to add the endings. Okay, so the endings are e, es, e, ons, ez, ent. Okay, this is je, tu, il, elle, nous, vous, il, elle. So if I want to conjugate it with je, I'll be saying je, PARL, okay, and then my ending says e. So je parle. I speak or I am speaking. It has 2 meanings. I speak or I am speaking. So simple present and present continuous means the same in French. Je parle. Je parle avec mes amis. I am talking with my friends, right? Or je parle au professeur. I am talking to the professor. I am speaking to the professor. Similarly, tu parles, add es. Similarly, with ll, the singular one, add e. Nous, ons, nous parlons. Vous parlez. Il parle. Remember, ent's pronunciation is not on, it is e. So, il plural, parle. Is that clear? So this is the structure of the present tense with ER ending verb. IR ending type 1. What happens in this? Understand. Number 1, you have to remove IR. Now to the stem. FIN is the stem, right? What do you have to add? You have to add the endings IS, IS, IT, ISSONS, ISSEZ, and ISSENT. These are going to be the endings that you're going to add. Suppose I have to conjugate a verb with je. So how will I do? Je, fin, and is. Je finis. Fini means to complete or to finish, right? So I am completing or I am finishing. Similarly, if I want to conjugate it with L, then FINIT. El fini. She is finishing, she finishes, or she completes, she is completing. Now remember ISSONS, ISSEZ, how are you going to do? Let me give you an example. Let's say vous, fin, FIN, and now ISE. So vous finissez. Clear up? Okay, the second type of IR ending, that is off free. In this, what happens? The IR ending verbs move according to the ER ones, right? So you remove IR and then conjugate like ER ones. For example, je plus offre. Because in ER we use E at the end of je, right? So since E and O are vowels, they are coinciding, so we are going to use apostrophe. So j'offre. I am offering. Offrir is to offer. I hope this is clear to you. J'offre. Right? So the endings are going to be E, ES, just like your ER ending verbs. ONS, EZ, ENT. So it is going to, for example, if I want to conjugate it with vous, let's say. So it will be vous offrez. You are offering or you offer. Talking about the RE ending verbs, let's take construire. Construire is to construct. So in RE ending verbs, we remove RE and add the following words, the endings. Okay, that is SST. Okay, then we have ONS, EZ, and we have ENT. So this is for RE ending. After RE, we have a lot of irregular verbs also, and you must have read them. Now at the end moment, it's not possible that we can read all the irregular verbs together, right? So that would not be possible. Just a second. Okay, yeah, better now. So it won't be possible to study all the RE ending verb, all the irregular verbs together. Okay, so how are we going to do? Je construis. Okay, in this way you can do it. Is that clear? And this is a mind map for you, not a mind map, kind of table for revising all the things, right? Great. So in this way you can form all the conjugations we have discussed: ER, IR, and RE. Now let's revise it. First person, that is I, je, tu, il, elle, or on. It is generally represented by on, right? Now first person plural, nous, vous, il, elle. So you can revise it. Just now we had discussed it. Type 1 IR, type 2 IR, and RE ending verbs. Okay, for example, attendre. Okay, attendre is there. So similarly you can conjugate it attend in je. Okay, in nous it is going to be attendons. Isn't that clear to you? It is clear, right? Let me erase this because I'll be giving you the handwritten notes, so it should not disturb you, right? So let me write it properly so that the ones who are going to download the PDF would be able to study properly. Okay? So we've done the présent. Now let's talk about the past tenses in French. That is le passé, le passé, le temps passé, the past tenses, and le temps présent, present tenses. Past tenses can be divided into 4 tenses as per our CBSE syllabus. Passé composé, imparfait, plus que parfait, passé récent. These are the 4 tenses, and all are easy. Individually, all are easy, but when we have to when we have to group them together as a whole, when we watch them, it becomes difficult to sort out which one to use in the sentence. So I'll be telling you those tips and tricks also in the next session where we'll be practicing the questions. This is for theory, for understanding individual tenses, for revising the conjugations of individual tenses, right? Talking about passé composé. Quel est le passé composé? The passé composé is the most important past tense in French, the most widely used tense, right? It corresponds to the English simple past or sometimes the present perfect also. The passé composé talks about the actions that were completed in the past and emphasizes their results or consequences in the present. In spoken language, passé composé is always used instead of passé simple. Okay, we form the passé composé using auxiliary verb avoir or être followed by the participe passé of the verb. So why is it known as passé composé, composed past? Because it is composed of two tenses. Okay, one is auxiliary of avoir or être plus the participe passé of the verb, that is the past participle of the main verb. That is why it is termed as composé. Starting with passé composé, conjugation avec avoir. So avec avoir, how do we conjugate the verbs, right? For example, chanter. Now I'm teaching you the basic passé composé formation. That should be very clear to you. What do we exactly do in passé composé? Basically, first we write down the subject. Let's say I'm writing sure. Okay. Plus. Now I'll be using the auxiliary of avoir être. It means you have to conjugate avoir être in présent. Right now, most of the verbs are conjugated with avoir. Some are conjugated with être. I'll tell you the tip to remember those verbs. Okay. So plus, what are we going to do? Avoir in présent. What is sure in avoir basically in présent? It is a. Just now we had discussed. Plus a plus the past participle of the main verb. Main verb here is chanter. How do we make? We remove er. Remove er. Let me tell you how you can make the past participle. So past participle ka formation. First of all, remove er. Second tip, add e with an accent. So you can do that. Removing er, okay, and adding e with accent. So if we write this together, we will get to know j'ai chanté. Done. Done. That's it. What does this mean? I sang, right? Or basically it's I sang. Clear? Chanter means to sing, as you know. Similarly, you can do tu as. So instead of a, you can replace it with a, but chanter will remain the same. I'm talking about tu case. For il case, you can replace it with a, right? And in that nous, it will be avons. Nous avons chanté. Vous avez chanté. Ils, elles ont chanté. O-N-T. Ils, elles ont chanté. Clear to you? Okay, now avec être, talking about être. Some verbs are also conjugated with être in passé composé. I'll tell you the trick after this verb, aller. What do we do? Same. Let's say I am taking L this time. So aller and être. Let's say I'm taking L. What am I going to do? I'll be using être auxiliary. Conjugate être in present. So L, A. EST, right? And now do the same thing. Remove ER and add E. Allez. LA, Sally. Liaison, right? T ka sound will merge into A. So LA, Sally. She went. Now, French verbs that take être. Which are the verbs that take être? So basically, your mnemonic is Dr. Mrs. Wonder Trump. Your teacher must have already told you about this mnemonic. It is a very commonly used mnemonic, right? And there are basically 17 verbs that take up être, and this is perhaps the most important, most popular mnemonic for être verbs. These are the verbs that you have, right? Devenir, revenir. Devenir, revenir. Doctor. Mrs. Monter, rester, sortir. Devenir, let me tell you the English translation. Devenir is to become. Revenir is to come back. Monter, to climb, I think. Yeah, climb. Rester, to stay. Sortir, to go out. Venir, to come. Aller, to go. Naître, to be born. Descendre, to descend or to come down. Entrer, rentrer. Enter, return. Tomber, fall. Retourner, return. Arriver, arrive. Mourir, die. And last one, let me write over here, it is partir, to leave. So these are the 17 verbs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Fine. Rest all the verbs are conjugated with auxiliary avoir. So you need to remember that. And for IR and RE, let me tell you how to form the past participle. IR and RE. Basically, in let's say I have finir. So you're going to remove this IR and add I. So it becomes fini. So you can conjugate it as j'ai fini. I have finished. Okay, for RE, what you're going to do, let's say I have attendre, remove RE and add U. So it becomes attendu. Nous avons attendu. Correct? Talking about l'imperfect, imperfect tense, that is imperfect. L'imperfect, the imperfect is a French past tense. It describes states and actions that were ongoing or repeated in the past. Passé composé में, the actions finished at a point, right, in the past itself. So in passé composé, the actions had already finished. But in case of imperfect, they were ongoing from a particular period of time, right? From a point to another point in the past. It was continued. The imperfect can correspond to English simple past, right? But also structures such as used to and would, and even the past progressive. Past progressive means the past continuous tense sometimes, like he was going. So we use imperfect. Don't worry, I'll tell you passé composé imperfect, plus que parfait order, like how to accord it in the sentence. Accord will be told to you in the next session, right? The imperfect is used to tell stories, right? Whenever we are describing an incident in the past or narrating a story, we always use imperfect. Like it starts with il y avait, right? You would have seen il y avait means there was or there used to be, right? And report on past actions, mostly written in context. We conjugate the imperfect by adding the endings AIS, AIS, AIT, IONS, IZ, AINT to the root of the present tense, new form of the verb. Let's understand that. Okay, conjugated verb form, imperfect. Let me tell you how we can conjugate the verbs in imperfect. Let's do it quickly. Okay, let's say you have the verb parler, for example, and do download the PDF of this particular session from the description box, right? It is given, the free PDF is given to you in the description box. Okay, parler, I have parler verb. What to do? Number 1 point, conjugate parler verb in nous form, in present. Is it nous parlons? Is it so? Nous parlons. Done. Now guys, remove ONS. Replace ONS by the following endings. AIS, AIS, AIT, IUNS, IEZ, AIEN, right? So it is going to become, let me write, je parlais, tu parlais, elle parlait, nous parlions. It will become nous parlions. See, vous parliez, elle parlait. So you can complete it, right? We are just revising the things. The only exception in imperfect lies in the verb être. What is the exception? That instead of taking som, which is the new new form of conjugation of être, in présent we take et. So it becomes j'étais. Okay, tu étais, elle était. Which one était? Elle était mais. This one. AIT. Nous étions, vous étiez. Il plural était. How will it be? Il plural, I never taught this. Il plural et AIENT. Okay, and être means to be, and parler means to speak. So it would be he was speaking, basically. You can say that. Talking about le plus que parfait. So what is le plus que parfait? Le plus que parfait corresponds to the past, past perfect tense in English. Like we have past perfect tense, he had gone, right? We use it to talk about an action or situation that took place before another past action. So basically it is used with passé composé or imperfect in the sentence when we have two actions. So it talks about the action which took place before another action, right? We'll talk about this in the upcoming session where we'll be practicing the PYQs. All your doubts will be clarified. And that session is going to be live at the same time. Okay. The plus que parfait is often used when telling stories and anecdotes to provide background information on situations that occurred prior to the main action of the past. Okay, let's conjugate the verb faire in plus que parfait. So how do we conjugate the verb in plus que parfait? It is very, very easy. Write on the subject plus. Now you need to understand the imperfect of this particular verb that you need to write down. So how are we going to do? The imperfect of basically avoir or être. Oh my god, just a second. Better. Is it fine? Okay, avoir imperfect. So what is that going to be? Ave. So je plus ave becomes j'avais. Très bien. J'avais. And now the past participle of the main verb fait. You know that. So j'avais fait, tu avais fait, il, elle avait fait, nous avions fait, vous aviez fait, il, elle avait fait. What happened to the camera? Sorry for becoming yellow again and again. Okay. With être, arrivé. So with être, instead of ave, we use était. Okay. In case of être. Clear? So it will become, let's say I'm conjugating it, j'étais arrivé. Okay. And the rest you can easily do. Passé récent, what is passé récent? By the name only, recent past. Something that happened shortly before the moment of speaking that you have just done. Like I say, I have just finished my homework. In that case, we'll be using passé récent. So let's say I have maître. What is the formation? Write on je. Venir's conjugation in present, vient plus de plus infinitive of the main verb, that is mettre. So je viens de mettre. I have just put this particular thing. Okay, now talking about the future tenses in French, we have three future tenses: futur proche, futur simple, and futur antérieur. Right, futur proche, that is the near future, the action that you have just, you're just about to do the thing, right? For example, past tense. So how do we use it? Je plus aller conjugation in présent, je vais, and the infinitive of the main verb. Je vais parler. I am going to speak. Okay, so passé récent and future proche can be connected, near future, that you are just about to do. Future simple, normal future tense, right? For talking about the future plans or intentions, making predictions, right? And the other things, right? And how do we form the future tense? For example, I have the verb danser, which means to dance. How do we form the future sample? Understand this. Take the infinitive of the main verb and add the following endings. See, ai, as, a, ons, ez, ont. So it will become je danserai, je danserai, tu danseras, il, elle dansera. Let me point it over here. See, il, elle dansera, nous danserons, vous danserez, il, elle plural danseront. Clear? Talking about future anterior, what is this tense? Future anterior. Future anterior is the future perfect tense, and it is connected to plus que parfait. Okay, you can find connections with plus que parfait, especially in the clue words that we have. Right? Done. Okay, let's understand the conjugation of the verb in future anterior. How do we conjugate? What do? We write down je, and now the future sample conjugation of avoir or être, right? So here I'll be taking avoir. Okay, so it is aurait, you know that. Au is used for avoir and future sample, and then the past participle of it, gagner. So j'aurais gagné, right? Similarly, tu auras gagné. In this way, you can easily make OU and then the future simple endings. In this way, we form. See, aurait, aura, auront, aurait, auront. Done. And finally, we have finished today's session. If you have any doubt related to today's session, all the doubts need to be posted in the comment section. Please, everyone, I'll be taking your doubts in the next session, right? All the doubts to be posted. And next session on tenses is going to be the practice question session, in which we'll be discussing the PYQs and other important questions. Done? Thank you so much. Merci beaucoup, right, for attending this session. And j'espère que ton examen va bien, right? It is going to go well and you're gonna come up with flying colors. Do attend the next session of tenses. This is Amirash signing off. Merci beaucoup. Au revoir.